would be talking about the poem Ode to Evening, written by William Collins. Now, this poem is in the form of ode. Ode is any poem which has a lyrical note, which has a dignified or theme, or which is written in a stately manner, and which has an address. It is address. Odes are addressed to something. There is a subject which is being addressed. Now, in this poem, evening has been addressed. Evening has been personified as a beautiful woman. Evening has been personified as a very shy or a very sober woman, and who is very gentle, or who has the qualities of a nymph, and who has the qualities of Venus. So in this way, this evening is a epitome of a very beautiful woman. Now, William Collins is more precisely speaking, is a transitional poet. Is the qualities of classicist as well as romantics, and his treatment of nature is a mixture of the treatment of nature at the hands of romantics and at the hands of classicists. But somewhere you would see that he is more attuned in his images, or in his treatment of nature, or the way he addresses nature. He is more like romantics and less like classics. So in this poem, we would try to cover some of the stanzas, some of half of the poem today, and if we are not able to cover it, we would cover the next half in my next lecture. Now, in this poem, the poet says, and if aught of oaten stop or pastoral song may hope chaste Eve to soothe thy modest ear, like thy own solemn springs, thy springs and dying gales. He says, my instrument, my pipe is made out of oats, and it is a very rustic pipe. Still, it wants to sing. My poetry wants to sing for you, and since you are very chaste, you are very refined, I don't know whether I would be able to soothe your modest ears with my pipe, like thy own solemn springs, thy springs and dying gales. You have very sober springs. Your springs are lively, but they are not rude, or they are not uncivilized like our springs. Thy springs and dying gales. Your springs and your gales which are dying, your winds are not rude winds. You have a very silent, very smooth, very soothing winds. O nymph reserved. Now, evening has been called nymph. Nymph are the fairies of water. Reserved. You are very reserved. You are not wild, or you are not loud. You are very reserved. While now the bright-haired sun sits in your western tent. Now it is the time of evening, and the sun has set itself in west. It's sitting in its western tent, in its western chambers, whose cloudy skirts. Now the sun can be seen behind the clouds, and the rays of the sun appear as if they are skirts to those clouds, they are borders to those clouds. Sits in your western tent, whose cloudy skirts with breed ethereal woo. Now these skirts are entwined, and they are woven in breeds which are ethereal, which are not from this earth. Overhang his wavy bat. Now sun appears as if, waving, because it has been engulfed by the clouds, and the sky is orange, it is almost red, and the rays appear, or the slight wind appears to be moving the sun. So its bed, or its chamber, its western chamber appears to be moving. Now air is hushed, save where the weak-eyed bat with short shrill shriek tilts by on leathern wing. Now air is hushed. Now you could see that air, the wind at this point of time is hushed, is not very loud. It is very soothing, or it is not noisy. It is very silent. Save means except where the weak-eyed bat is making some sound. Otherwise everything is very silent, everything is very peaceful. There is no noise anywhere. So with short shrill shriek flits by on leathern wings. Now you could see that what is the sound of the bat? It is short shrill shriek. It makes a very small sound and it is shrilly. It is very edgy sound and he makes shrieks, and flits means it moves from one place to another by on leathern wing. Now its wings are made, it appears as if they are made out of leather. So it could not make a very big flight, it could make very small flights. And now you see that there is a beautiful image of sun resting in its western tent, and it appears as if its stand is moving in the cloud, because it is covered by the clouds, and its rays are like skirts which are coming out, or borders, or coming out of the cloud, and it appears as if it is resting, and it is being lulled by the clouds, or the western clouds, and it is being lulled in, it is lulled to sleep in its stand, in its home. Then we have an image of bat which is there, and this bat is making very small shrieky sounds. Or where the beetle winds his small but sullen horn. Now beetle is another insect which is making sound, otherwise everything is very silent. There is no noise except for shrieks of the bat and the noise of the sullen or a very dull horn of the beetle. As of he rises amidst the twilight path, against the pilgrim born in heedless hum. Now there is a traveler which is going, who cannot see the beetle, but he could hear the humming of the beetle. So humming of the beetle is there, the sounds which are created in the words. Now teach me maid compose. Now earlier evening was nymph reserved, it was chaste. Now it is, the adjective which has been used by the poet about the nymph is maid composed. She is a woman who is very composed. To breathe some softened strains whose numbers stilling through the darkening veil. Now the poet says, I want also to write poems which are soft, just as your mood is. So he wants to take inspiration from the evening which is very composed. He also wants to write very composed, very composed and very soft poems which have very soothing strains, and he wants to get inspiration, or he wants to get blessings from evening. Whose numbers is stealing through thy darkening veil. Now this valley is all dark because it's time of evening, and you are spread everywhere in this valley. I want to spread my thoughts all over the world, but these thoughts should be soft, they should be soothing, they should give peace to humanity, just as your presence is giving peace to the entire valley. May not unseemly with its stillness suit. My poem should suit with your stillness, with your composure. Whose numbers stealing through the darkening veil may not unseemly with its stillness suit. As musing slow I hail thy genial love return. Now you have love for the entire humanity, and with my musings, with my poetry, I would return your love by writing such a poem, by writing such a poetry which is full of imagination, which is full of meditation, which gives love to humanity. For when thy folding star arising shows his pally circuit at his warming lamp, the fragrant hours and elves who slept in flowers the day. Now during the time the elves these fairies were sleeping in their in flowers. Now they have been they would be awakened by the star or by the moon in the sky, and these hours are fragrant because we could smell the perfume which comes out from the flowers, and it is there in the air. And pale circlet because all the stars or the moon is pale at the time of evening, who slept in flowers day, and many a nymph who wreathes her brows with sedge. Now the nymphs are decorating themselves with the sedge, with plants from the sea, and they are decorating their hair, they're decorating their head with these sedges. So in such an atmosphere, let me also enjoy, let me also worship you, and let me also write poems which reflect your mood, which go well with your mood. Let me write sober poetry, let me write poetry for the entire humankind, which poetry which is which is soothing, a poetry which is subtle, and a poetry which is sublime, which would reflect your beauty, and which would reflect your love. Thank you. The rest of the poem we would do in the another lecture.